What's up, guys? I'm JFleezy, and we are back with episode number 2 of Tri-State Wrestling Federation. How much to update you on, except for, well, finances are looking pretty good. And we have a few signings coming in that you'll see after the show. So, let's get to it. Here we go. Show number 1 of the episode. We have Dick Knox opening the show, calling out Big Vito. Again, no response. We then have our first match of the night, Fantasia versus Kimberly Wolzer, in a better match than I honestly thought it would be. So good job, Fantasia. Fantasia getting the victory. We then have Dick Knox talking to Fletcher Knox in the back. And don't let me down this time, kid. Or I guess I'm giving you another chance. Don't let me down, kid. Basically. Say it as harsh as I said it. We then have Fletcher Knox taking on Brian Lawler in a decent little match. He was making a good showing of himself until he gets clocked by Big Vito while Brian Lawler distracts the referee. Dick Knox comes running out to make the save, but Vito is long gone by the time the old man gets out there. Slippery won that Vito. We then have Booker T beating the hell out of Scott Putski because he's got quite the amount of heat in the locker room right now. I love the finish of a missile dropkick. Love it. Keep that forever, Book. We then have Robbie V taking on a debuting Glenn Gilberti. Decent little match, actually. Finishing with a Van Daminator. That's great. That's great. I love that. 34, good performance. I like it. Poor gimmick for Glenn. That sucks. I actually didn't want to do the disco stud. I thought I fixed that. Well, it is what it is now. We then have Dick Knox running around backstage looking everywhere for Vito. To no avail, once again. You can see his bald head. Red is this text down here at this point. He's angry. We then have Chris Jericho taking on La Parka in pretty good match, seeing as how they had no chemistry. That's a great job. Crowd is buzzing though. Crowd loved it with their 6 rating. Chris Jericho gets the win over La Parka, who has heat with me, clearly. We then have Leaf Cassidy taking on Perry Saturn, where Perry Saturn uses the ropes illegally to get the win for another unfortunate loss for Leaf Cassidy. We then have Perry Saturn beating the hell out of Leaf Cassidy after the match. I almost said Al Snow. Almost. Leaf Cassidy. And then in our main event of the night, we have big man Dick Knox defeating Todd Morton with the knocks out, making defense number 1 of the TSWF championship. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff from Dick Knox. And then we have Big Vito sneaking in the ring from behind and jumping Dick Knox from behind, putting the boots to him before Fletcher Knox runs out to make the save, and Big Vito gets out. Back through the crowd once more. Good show. I mean, overall, 40 rating. I'm quite happy with it. The girls' match to open the show is actually better than I expected. It's better than the Fletcher Knox Brian Lawler match. So, better than I expected. I'm happy with it overall. Everybody did their jobs. Alright. Catch you at the next show. Alright. Much to update you on. 1, finances are looking fine, so that's great. 2, we were doing shows monthly. We're now maybe temporarily gonna go to bi-weekly. We'll see how it goes, but we're gonna try it. Alright, on to the show. Alright, show number 2. We have Dick Knox opening the show again, calling out Vito to no avail. Crowd is hot for it though. Then have the debuting featured attractions versus The Law of Brian Lawler and what's his name? Steve Bradley. Sorry, Steve. And featured attraction of Stevie Richards and Sean Morley. Very good gimmick, very good gimmick. Adequate for Stevie Richards. That's unfortunate. Big debut though. It was a very good match. Look at good work too, man. Stevie Richards 24, Sean Morley 28, Steve Bradley 29. Shocked me. Good match, boys. Featured Attractions gets the win with Sean Morley pinning Brian Lawler with a flying splash. All things. We then have Vito LaGrasso taking out Fletcher Knox in the back. Viciously. We then move on from that to Taz making his debut, absolutely decimating Kid Cash. Kid never stood a chance. Under 7 minutes. Good job, Taz. We then have footage of Leif Cassidy backstage asking around for anybody if they've seen Perry Saturn. Nobody's seen him. Have Chris Candido have another more or less squash match, destroying Devin Storm. Had a very poor show stealer gimmick. Got the crowd buzzing though. We then have Fletcher Knox take on Robbie V for a decent little match there, with Robbie V getting the pinfall over Fletcher Knox with a spinning heel kick. That's sick. In 7 minutes 40 seconds. Straight after, we have Leif Cassidy taking on Bill DeMott. I knew I'd do it. I said Leif. Leif Cassidy taking on Bill DeMott, defeating Bill DeMott in 9 minutes 30 seconds with a snowplow. Very good from Leif Cassidy. Until he gets hit with the chair in the back of the head by Perry Saturn and continuously hit while he's on the ground. Until he finally runs out of breath and just drops the chair and walks away. Like he did absolutely nothing. And in your main event, you have Dick Knox taking on Randy Hogan for the TSWF Championship, making defense number 2, pinning him with a knockout in 5 minutes 41 seconds. What a performance from Dick Knox. A great rating for a main event with Randy Hogan. Crazy work. We then had Big Vito LaGrasso come up on the screen saying, I warned you. I gave you a chance. I tried to be a gentleman. You told me to fuck off. Now look what happened. Look what you did, Dick. And the screen goes dark. And an overall rating of 45. What a great show. Wow. Fans were disappointed that the storylines featured during the show none really. I can't read. None really had any dramatic stakes. I don't know. I don't know. Doesn't that seem a little dramatic? Seemed pretty dramatic to me. Well, I'm the booker, I guess I would say that. Alright. Well, I will catch y'all at the next show. Pretty sure those were pretty dramatic stakes, though. Picking straight up off that last show just to update you guys on the schedule, because I have not done that yet. So bi-weekly we have Hard Knocks going. That's obviously our regular show. But then we have a big event that's actually our season finale, Resolutions, which is on the 4th of July. And then we have Holidays Havoc, which is our end of year show. So I figured I'd just update you on the 2 big events that we have outside of our regular event, because I have not showed you guys those yet. Words. Alright, catch you at the show. Right, we're straight into the show, and we had a bit of a recording issue, so I had to explain before this. The opening of the show was Big Vito in the ring this time. Kind of taunting Dick Knox a little bit, and so Dick comes out, steaming, ready to hit the ring and go at it, but Fletcher Knox stops him and says, let me do this, Uncle Dick. I got this. I can take care of him. Trust me. So, it cools down a little bit and just nods and gives him the match, gives him the shot here. And, well, we get in the match, and Vito kind of wipes the floor with Fletcher Knox in 7 minutes 30 seconds by pinfall with Code of Silence. So, you're all caught up. That's where we are. Get to the rest of the show. Alright, after the match, we have Big Vito standing over a battered Fletcher Knox. And he grabs the microphone, Says, alright, now that I wiped the floor with your pathetic boy here, why don't you and me talk man to man? The gentleman. He says, you disrespected me, Dick. I see what happens to people who disrespect Big Vito LaGrasso. I can see you're mad, Dick. But listen, Big Vito's got something for you. Proposal, if you will. You see, Big Vito will fight you. But when Big Vito fights you, we're gonna fight like men fight. We're gonna fight until the other doesn't get back up. And when you don't get back up, I'm gonna be taking that title from you. And a nice champion's contract to go along with it. How's that sound, Dick? The last segment ends with Dick helping Fletcher Knox back to the locker room. Now we have a debut of Paul Levesque versus Leif Cassidy. Leif Cassidy defeats Paul Levesque in 8.5 minutes by pinfall with a snowplow. And a fantastic debut for Paul Levesque with a 41 segment rating. Leif Cassidy getting another win. Good stuff here. We then have... Oh, right, that's right. That last match ended with Perry Saturn botching an interference and hitting Paul Levesque. And Leif Cassidy taking advantage to get his hands on Perry Saturn before Perry Saturn can finally powder out the ring and get away. We then have Scott Putski versus Sean Morley in a short 8-minute match where Sean Morley defeats him with a fisherman suplex, which is a fantastic finish. The segment rating, on the other hand, not so much. Jeff Jarrett's killing us right now. We then have Sean Morley and Stevie Richards cutting a nice little generic promo. We have Taz taking on Steve Bradley, and again, a better than expected match, as Taz absolutely carries. But Steve Bradley is better than I thought he was. Taz defeats Steve Bradley in 7.5 minutes with an overhead belly-to-belly suplex. We then have Brittany Brown and Misty Blue in a disappointing match. Why was that so bad? Just the road agenting again? Jeff Jarrett screwing us? Because they actually had good ratings. The best on the show so far, average-wise. And a good crowd rating. Well, anyways. Misty Blue defeated Brittany Brown in 10 minutes by pinfall with Misty Dive. 29 rating. We then have your main event of Chris Candido versus Rey Mysterio Jr. in a superb wrestling match. You have Chris Candido defeating Rey Mysterio Jr. in 16 minutes with pinfall with a Super Frankensteiner. Great main event. Good God, look at the chemistry. I mean, that match can just get more and more ridiculous, can it? Then we end the show with Dick Knox calling Big Vito LaGrasso to the ring. Big Vito comes out. Dick Knox slaps the contract down. Says, let's do it. Big Vito signs the contract. He is now officially a member of the roster of Tri-State Wrestling Federation. What is to come from that? Alright, this is the point where I do the thing. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like, it helps a ton. Please, if you have any advice on doing local to global style things in the real world mods, I've never done this before. This is completely new to me. So anything that might be a little different that it might help to know, or whatever advice you have, leave them in the comments. I'd be very thankful. Any booking advice, anybody you think we should sign that would fit into this roster that is quite interesting so far. Tag teams, everything. Any ideas you got, put them down there. And again, if you did enjoy what you watched, along with a like, if you could hit the subscribe button and hit that little bell so you don't miss every time I post an episode. We all win, right? We all win. Alright. Thank you guys for watching. You guys have a good rest of your days.